Hi everyone, my name is Anna Manning and I chose to do Chapter 3 out of our Content Area Reading, Literacy and Learning book, and that chapter is Culturally Responsive Teaching in Diverse Classrooms. The first slide, I was just going to give you some stats regarding ELL in the classroom. In terms of size of ELL population, California, Florida, Texas, New York, Illinois, Colorado, and Washington each have more than 100,000 ELL students enrolled. Washington State has over 130,000 multilingual English learners, and there's an estimated 4.9 million children in U.S. public schools learning the English language. So chances are when you become a teacher, you will have a class of students that speak more than one language. I also wanted to share this quote from the book that I really liked. It says, "Teachers respond to linguistic and cultural differences by scaffolding instruction in culturally responsive classrooms." This next slide is culturally relevant pedagogy, and I wasn't sure what that meant, so I looked it up, and it's the method and practice of teaching, especially as an academic subject or theoretical concept. So here are 5 different strategies for that. The first one is identity and achievement. This invites teachers to consider the cultural lens through which they see themselves, as well as the lens through which students view their own identities. Number 2 is equity and excellence. This emphasizes the students have different learning needs. Number 3 is developmental appropriateness. This is when teachers should consider what is considered culturally appropriate for students from diverse backgrounds. Number 4 is teaching the whole child. This developmental appropriateness, it focuses more on home, school, community collaboration. And the last one is student-teacher relationships, and this is fostering a classroom atmosphere that communicates a message of genuine concern for individual students. All right. My next slide is talking about multicultural books. Multicultural books can help students understand cultural norms related to family, morality, sex roles, dress, and values of other cultures. It's important to have a wide variety of multicultural books in your classroom library. In spite of our differences, all people share many common emotions, dreams, hopes, and hopes for the future. And by having multicultural books in the classroom, this just kind of reinforces that within your class. Also, teachers can't assume that a modern Mexican American child will be able to relate to a book about growing up in Mexico. You just have to remember that. My next slide is how to celebrate language and culture in the classroom. These are some ideas that I thought were pretty good that you could do for any classroom, even as young as pre-K or kindergarten. Label objects in the classroom in 2 or 3 languages, and that's anything from chair, table, light, lamp, just having different labels on the objects is really helpful. Use paired learning. While reading about this chapter, they really enforce paired or group learning and putting different cultures together in groups, different languages together in groups. For one, it helps reduce anxiety for students that English is not their first language, but it just exposes everyone in the class to different cultures and languages. Include visuals whenever possible. This is really helpful for students that English is not their first language. That way they can associate the word with the object. Have a map of the world or globe for the students. This is a really good idea because if you're talking about a place such as Mexico or Asia, Russia, students being able to see that and how far away it is really helpful, just putting that visual on the area. Always encourage drawing and writing for all students, and also to keep a personal journal. Here's a couple books that I thought were pretty good to add to your classroom library. Funds of Knowledge. This is showing interest in students' home cultures and ethnic backgrounds, and it helps build trust within the classroom. And so when teachers have a classroom of students that have different backgrounds, it's really nice for the student to have that celebrated, and it really builds trust within the teacher and the classroom together. My slide is culturally responsive teaching. There's 7 things that the book listed, and these are the top 7 things that are important when teaching a classroom to remember. The first one is having high expectations. Number 2, to build those positive relationships with students. 3 is to be sensitive to the different cultures in your classroom. And number 4 is active teaching methods. Number 5 is having the teacher as a facilitator. But 6 is having student control of portions of the lesson. So that's a good way to include students, but to make sure that the teacher is always the facilitator. And number 7 is instruction around groups and pairs to create low anxiety. And that is my recap of Chapter 3. Thank you.